This is me, and this is also me. Hey. Hi, I'm Gabbie, and welcome. I'm an actress. I want to be an actress. It's a work in progress. I'm working on it. But yeah, and I want to hopefully be able to use my story to help and inspire other people. So this ties into my story, my backstory. For those of you who don't know me, I grew up in an abusive household, verbally and psychologically, and occasionally physically. And I always had this huge imagination. I loved to pretend to be someone else, a different character, or, to be somewhere else even, in a different world. And that was, one of the things that helped me, of course, not physically escape, but to be able to mentally, to give myself some peace and a little bit of an escape, and to help myself calm down and forget. There was one time where I kind of have to tell you about this in order to make the rest of it make sense. There was a time where everything was okay. Parents weren't home, and I was being watched by a babysitter, and I was supposed to be asleep. But I got up and I peeked around the corner, and the sitter was watching The Dark Knight. And obviously I was 6. I was too young to be watching that, but I watched as much as I could before I got caught. And I was just mesmerized. I didn't pay attention to who actors were. I didn't even really notice or pay attention to the fact that it was a movie. I was just, it drew me in. And, after that, then specifically the character of the Joker became one of my favorite characters. And I would, on the playground, I would pretend to be him, and I would, back to the point. There were numerous times throughout my childhood where I had to hide. My mom would tell me to hide for my safety because I had to. And there was one specific time shortly after I had seen The Dark Knight. I was 6, and it was bad. Things were always bad, but things were bad. There were knives being thrown. My mom was getting physically harmed. Things were bad. And so my mom told me to go and hide in the van that we had at the time. So I went out and I hid in the van, and I remember sitting there. I knew that I was going to hear my mom scream or something along that line, and that I was going to be next, that it, And so I sat there and I prayed that I would be okay, and I just wanted to get out of that situation, and obviously I couldn't, and my mom wasn't there because she was dealing with that, and there was no one physically at the time to protect me, but I knew, I knew in my mind what was going to happen, and I was terrified. And so I did the only thing that I knew how to do, and I closed my eyes, and I imagined that I was in Gotham City, and that I was with the Joker, and he was going to protect me, and I was going to be okay. I knew that I really wasn't safe, but I allowed myself to believe that. And it didn't change the situation that was happening. It didn't change any of the situations that had happened, but it gave my 6-year-old self a little bit of comfort and peace, and allowed me to breathe enough, you know, and to escape enough. And I realized the impact that movies had and have on my life, and you know, I want to be that for someone else. And so things kept settling down, and I went to therapy, and I asked my mom, and I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. And our community theater, you know, she found out they were having auditions, and I was like, can I please go? And the rest is history. And after that, like I said, I paid no attention to who actors were, but I asked my mom to help me, Google search and find out, and I was like, who played the Joker, and then I found out, Heath Ledger, and then he immediately became my favorite actor and still is, and so every year from that point on, I on Christmas or on my birthday, I got to ask my mom for a special thing. So I asked for another Heath Ledger movie every year. The way that sucked me in and drew me in and allowed me to believe it, and I did. You believe it's real, right? And allowed me to escape. I want to be that for someone else. If someone's having a bad day and they can, come home and sit down and watch something that, that I might one day be in, and can find comfort in that, or joy in that, or if the character's not supposed to make you feel joy, if they just a story that they can escape to, that can take their mind off of whatever's going on, that means everything, and that's what I want to be able to do. I love it. So I'm British and French American, from Cherokee descent, but I've lived most of my life, pretty much my whole life, in Georgia. In general, my accent is kind of just there. It's not overtly Southern or overtly Brit. It just kind of depends. Now, if I'm around, I'm gonna put a clip in here in just a minute of me with my nanny.
Give me shorts now. What do you think about that doing to your grandmother?
If I've been hanging around my nanny for a while, I will very easily and very quickly slip into more of a British accent. And if you're wondering if I can actually speak French,
Je m'appelle Claude.
Je t'appelle Lou.
I don't really have one specific color that I could say this is my the one and only, ultimate favorite color. But if I had to narrow it down to I would say a top 4, I would definitely say purple, yellow, a lemon yellow, or a sunshine type of yellow, green, and a seafoam, teal kind of. I know in some ways that would count as a type of green, but Aries, chocolate. Dogs. 100% dogs. I love cats too. I do love cats, but I am definitely more of a dog person. And then in terms of more wild animals, koalas. Just straight up koalas. Dancing. Dancing. I did musical theater my basically whole entire life. And so I love, just for fun, even just, around the house, I love dancing. If there's music playing, I will probably start moving to it, even just unconsciously. That it happened in Walmart the other day. Because by the time I realized that I was being watched, I was kind of in the middle of just like, you know, like sidestepping and be bopping around. So I hope that you enjoyed the video and learned something new. Feel free to leave a comment telling me something cool about yourself or any other questions that you might have. I love you all so much, and I'll see you in the next one.